Dragon Quest XII: The Flames of Fate is an upcoming role-playing video game that is being developed and published by Square Enix. The last entry in the series, Dragon Quest XI, was released in 2017, and since then, fans have been waiting to see what is next for the franchise. Let's break down the teases, the official reveal, and the additional developers brought on to help with the project. As always, all the sources will be linked in the description below, so make sure to check those out and support those original writers. And with that out of the way, let's get into everything we know about Dragon Quest XII: The Flames of Fate. The first mention of Dragon Quest XII was back in June of 2019, when Gematsu translated Yu Miyake's quote from a livestream. Miyake is an executive producer on the series, and he said, quote, "By the way, about Dragon Quest XII, which I'm sure is on everyone's mind. Yuji Horii and I are currently making preparations on series developments that will connect to 12. I think it's still too early, but we would like to announce it in some form, so please wait a little longer." Yuji Horii is the game designer known for the Dragon Quest series, and this timeline makes sense. This was 2 years after the release of Dragon Quest XI, so the studio would start early planning of what's next. And the next mention happened on January of 2020, when Yuji made a tweet which referenced the start of production on Dragon Quest XII. And this is the end of teases until the game was officially revealed. So next we have to talk about the official reveal for the game, which happened in May of 2021 during the Dragon Quest 35th Anniversary Special livestream. During the livestream, a trailer was shown, and then Yuji Horii did discuss the game briefly. He starts by saying the game will be darker than previous entries and will be Dragon Quest but for adults, which starts to paint a picture of the logo reveal with flames and the dark atmosphere, so expect this tone to transfer into the actual game. The other big information from the reveal is Yuji says the team is changing the combat system. No additional details are given, but most fans are thinking the series will be moving away from the traditional turn-based combat into either a strict action game or some sort of hybrid. Obviously, this is all speculation on my part, but expect some change to the combat, and it will be easy to notice once the gameplay is officially released for this title. And they do say the command system won't be removed entirely, so we will just have to wait and see what this means and how it turns out in the game. A few more notable details from the livestream include character choice. It sounds like during the game, the player will have choices to make, which will impact the game world and the game story itself. And like with most of this information, no additional details were given, but expect choice to play a big part in this game. And finally, no platforms were announced, but the team did say this time around they want the project to have a simultaneous worldwide release, which is something new for the title and could mean the publisher is pushing for a bigger impact on Western markets. And for the most part, that covers everything around the reveal event. And next, I want to cover a few development stories. In a tweet posted the same day as the reveal, the Dragon Quest team revealed the project would be developed using Unreal Engine 5, which would be an upgrade from Unreal Engine 4 used in Dragon Quest XI. Moving on the official Square Enix website, Yuji also is quoted saying, "The story is complete and we'll just implement it, but it's a big game, so I think it will take some time to complete. However, if you apply for this recruitment of new development staff, you can see this new Dragon Quest as soon as possible, or rather, you can make it together." And what this quote says is even in 2021, the story had been written and is finished, and now it's just taking the story from paper and creating a game with it, which is a good sign for a smooth development process that the story is completely fleshed out, and now it's just creating it how these creators wanted it. Moving on, in an interview with the Famitsu magazine, the president and CEO of Square Enix gave a quote when asked about Dragon Quest XII, and said, quote, "Dragon Quest XII is being developed taking into account the next 10 to 20 years of the Dragon Quest series. There are parts that remain consistent with the traditional image of Dragon Quest, but new elements are also necessary. After all, as a brand, we always need to innovate." Now, I understand it is the job of a CEO to talk strategy and see the bigger picture of projects, but it is good to hear, at least from an outside perspective, that everyone involved is fully committed to many more years of Dragon Quest, and part of the future is making changes to adapt to new audiences, which could be referencing the team moving away to a new combat system or a darker tone. So we'll just have to wait and see how they're going to take this series into these next 10 or 20 years and what changes will stick around for the bulk of that. And the final development update happened in November of 2021 when Square Enix trademarked the Flames of Fate. It's not too surprising the studio would want to lock that down before the game releases, but if you want to be optimistic, it could mean Square Enix is moving forward with release plans, so we could be getting more details as the official release approaches. So with everything, we'll just have to wait and see, but I don't think this is too out of the ordinary, and I don't think it necessarily means the game is being released soon. And the final story I want to cover has to do with additional studios that are being brought in to help with the development process of Dragon Quest XII. The first studio was Hexadrive, who has worked with Nintendo on the Zelda Wind Waker HD remake, and the other studio being brought in is Orca. They helped create the definitive edition of Dragon Quest XI, so they are no stranger to the franchise. And hopefully this will increase the speed at which Square Enix is able to develop this game, and hopefully it means more time to polish and really get it ready. And for the most part, that is everything we know about Dragon Quest XII. I assume we will get more information this year, but I wouldn't expect a release until 2023 and most likely late 2023 at the earliest. Especially since the team is working towards a simultaneous release on presumably multiple consoles, it will take a lot more work than what they are used to at a standard launch. Overall though, I'm very excited for this title, and I can't wait to see what Square Enix is creating and how they are moving this series forward. Either way, that's where I'm going to end this video. Make sure to like and share, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.